Hey guys, it's David. I managed to get this into Google Docs so we can all kind of work on it at the same time. I think that's the biggest challenge you probably have with this one is that we all kind of need to chip away at it. It's now we kind of have the student profile. So with that information, we just kind of need to fill out this grid. And it'll take a little bit of work, but if we all chip away at it, we'll get it done pretty quick, I think. So the way this essentially works, I've already filled out it a little bit so you can kind of see. This top gray part are all of the objectives that we want him to be able to reach, which correspond with set 2. We actually have 12, but this first one was kind of more of a positive we just put in. So I'm actually only really counting 11. So I made our 11 columns with our 11 objectives. For example, this one, objective number 1, self-soothing technique. That was this one. For John to remain calm during his writing, both on computer and pencil and paper, so he can work through larger unknown words without losing his temper. So what she does not want us to write this whole thing again. She wants us to really boil it down to what the objective is, and that would be for John to learn self-soothing techniques. So all of the objectives go in here. We need to boil it down to kind of just like a one very quick, snapshot sentence of what the objective is. We need to do that for all of these, probably with the exception of this very first one. And then we begin to fill out some tools. So, for example, I found this Calm on Chrome, which is an extension or an app, which is kind of just help people calm down. So anyway, I put that in under the tools, Calm for Chrome, and then these two align. So John will listen to this app when needed to calm. And that's how that goes. And basically, the challenge here is that as these objectives get filled out and as these tools get filled out, how they cross-reference each other. So, for example, Calm for Chrome may not work for Objective 2, 3, or 4, or whatever, but it would work for Objective 6. Objective 6 was this one over here. For John to initiate removing himself from situations that cause physical outbursts, he will also practice self-soothing methods provided by the instructor. So that tool would match up with this objective that we came up with. Some are not going to match up, like calculator is not really going to help him with self-soothing techniques. So in those situations, we can write NA, but she warned that she does not want to see a lot of NAs. She talked about how, of course, that's going to happen, like calculator. That's not really going to help with self-soothing. That's kind of straightforward. But she said she wants us to think about it. She wants us to really challenge ourselves and, hey, how could this tool help with this objective? And that's kind of the whole point of this grid is we might see this tool and then it lines up with objective like number 9 and you're like, oh, I would have never really thought to use that tool to try to help with this objective. But hey, maybe we are able to get that worked out. Maybe that would be beneficial in this way. And so as we begin to fill out these tools, kind of more targeted for some of these objectives, we'll begin to see them interacting with objectives that we might not have thought they would go with. And then we just fill out this entire grid. So that's kind of our mission for this first part. Fill out all these objectives, begin to think of tools that would go along with said objective, and then as this thing gets more and more filled out, we continue just to get all these grids filled in. There should not be any left blank at the end. If there's any that don't work, we need to say NA. After that, we move on down to the section part 2. And what we do is all of the tools that we have listed, we put in here. So we would do Calm for Chrome, and the other one we said was calculator. I don't know if there actually was a need for a calculator. I'm just going to put that in as an example. And then what we need to do is there's after we put in these tools, there's essentially 2 sections. We need to talk about the tools availability, which are these 3 columns right here, S, P, and A, and then any training that needed. So first of all, talking about the availability is S means that it's a systematically available tool. Basically, this is not a very hard thing to get. So a calculator would be that, She does not want us to just write yes. She wants us to explain, but, so calculator, every school would have many of these, P is basically a little bit a little less available, but still pretty easy to get. That might be the Calm for Chrome. So we would then put that one in P. So we'd say yes, available, though we would need to download. Let me straighten out these columns. So that's how that one would go. And then A is additional tools that are required for the student. So that would be something like if we needed to buy like a smart board specifically for the student, or something that like would cost money that we'd have to go out and buy. And that would be this A column, the stuff that like it's like, hey, this is really a tool that's kind of a little bit more rare. It costs money, but the student needs it, so we have to go out and get it. So that's the way those go down. Something that's obviously every school's going to have. Something that a school may not have but can be easily obtained. And something very specific, and we're going to have to go out and buy it for the student. Second part for the training, we need to talk about if any of these categories need training. So for a calculator, I'm going to say, actually for John's case, yes, John may need training on how to work a calculator. But for staff and family, no, widely known. Again, she wants us to write all this out. She just does not want yes and no's. But yeah, I mean, for like for all the staff members, and that includes everyone from teachers to custodians to front office, whoever. We just need to say whether or not they need training. She also wants us to elaborate. Like, let's say there is a specific, like, you know, maybe it has something to do with medication, and like the nurses are going to have to know. She wants us to list out who may need training for this. Is it just the general education teacher? Is it the general education teacher and the aides? Is it the teacher, the aides, and also the principal? Is it the front office? Is it the custodians? Is it the, you know, who knows? Basically, anyone staff-wise, will they need training? Why or why not? This one, calculator, that's easy enough. No staff is going to need training for a calculator. Same thing with family. Does the family need any training on this? So that would be no as well. But something for like a smart board. It's like, yes, the family is probably going to need training on how to use a smart board. Same thing with several staff members. So that's how that goes. We do that for every single tool. And that's really it. It's just about, you know, filling out this grid, and then after this is done, we'll come down here and take a look at that. Let me know if that makes sense. Talk to you guys soon.